has been such a long time since I made a post. There have been a lot of things that have happened since I have not posted anything, including losing my job. I got sick. I was completely displaced from my home for a minute, but I'm coming back. So that's going to be a part of some of the things that I talk about. But there was not a post, but a podcast that I was just listening to that I really want to talk about, and I know it will piss off some women, but I have to make this video because I feel so strongly about it. So there was a reaction video. Pause. I'm on the way to work right now. Thank God I have an amazing job now. I'm really, really grateful for it. God is so good. But I'm on the way to work, and I have a fairly long commute. It's about an hour, give or take, with traffic, sometimes a little over. But it allows me to listen to things I want to listen to, like podcasts and reaction videos and things like that. So I was listening to a reaction channel, and they were referring to a video, a snippet of Devon Franklin, who is the ex-husband of Megan Good. Anyway, he was preaching, and essentially he was saying that there's nothing wrong with women if they are unmarried. And he was talking about the story of Adam and Eve. So in the story, he quoted he referenced a part of the story of Adam and Eve where Adam was missing a part because God used that part in order to make Eve. That Eve came into Adam's life as a whole person. And essentially he was saying that women come into men's life whole and complete, that there's nothing wrong with us. I understand the sentiment he was going for, but that is completely incorrect. A little bit of background about me. I grew up in a Christian household, specifically Southern Baptist, so we were part of the Southern Baptist Convention, and I grew up in the church. When I tell you in the church, anything you can think of, from Vacation Bible School, Wednesdays, Sundays, summer camps, you name it, I did it. Along with that comes a certain level of biblical literacy, and I say that because you can go to church all the time and never crack open a book, but I was one of those kids where I was like really studious and like very geeky when it came to the Bible. I was a huge rule follower. And so if I was supposed to read my Bible, that's what I did, and things like that. Well, a part of it was just reading the Bible a lot. And so when I was listening to the snippet, it was very interesting because Devon Franklin said that between the two, Adam was the one that that was incomplete, not Eve. But that was a very interesting and terrible oversight. Adam was complete too. It was only when God realized that, and I quote, it was not good for man to be alone, and he realized that Adam was lonely, that he then put Adam into a deep sleep and then removed his rib in order to make Eve. Adam was a complete person too. So I don't know if this is part of Devon's just healing process, or some people in that particular reaction channel is saying that he is a simp and trying to pander to women or whatever. I don't know if that's what's going on, but that was a completely terrible oversight to make, because Adam was a complete person too. It was just that God made, I like to think of Eve as a custom-made partner for Adam. So much so that he used some of his own matter in order to make the woman that was created for him. That God, y'all know what I mean. God used some of the original's matter in order to make a likeness for that original. I mean, how much more custom can it get? You know what I'm saying? So, I just think that was a huge oversight for him to make, and it was a glaring one. I had scanned through, while I was sitting in traffic, I was not driving, I scanned over the comments, and yeah, some of them were funny, some of them were saying that he was simping and all this stuff, but I noticed that no one realized that point that I just made. So I wanted to make a video about it because it was just so interesting to me. Alright, so I've gotten that out. Let's talk about that a little bit. To an extent, he's correct. Women, if you are putting in the work, and this is the biggest caveat, if you're putting in the work and you've shown yourself approved and you are a woman who is qualified to be a wife, then yes, there's nothing wrong with you. In society, even still, as antiquated as it is, we still think that marriage for women should happen when they're very young. I'm going to be 32 in October. I would have never guessed in my 20s that I would still be unmarried. No kids, no nothing. It wasn't anything that I necessarily thought about when I was younger because I was fed a lot of dysfunctional ideas. I know part of it was to just keep me out of trouble. It's a rampant thing that happens for teens, and I would have to say also in the Black community. I can't speak for other communities. I just know that it is a big crisis, that there's a lot of, teen pregnancies and things like that. So I know part of the narrative was given to me in order to keep me out of trouble, even though I was never that kid, ever. I was very shy, and I didn't even know how to talk to boys and things like that. I didn't go to prom. I was very, very studious. I practiced music all the time. I did a lot of volunteer work, and that just wasn't me. So that was never anything that should have been a concern. But I understand partially why, but it created a big kink once I got older, because I had to personally relearn that wanting to be with someone is okay, and be with somebody, I mean like being loved and having a relationship and stuff, that is okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But I had to relearn that. That's a whole nother video. But the reason why I say that is, when I was younger, I didn't really think about it because I was kind of terrified about all of that for some of the reasons that I've already cited. But also I was just trying to get my sea legs, so to speak. And it was really hard for me. So now that I'm older and I've really put in a lot of work to relearn things and admit to myself that I don't want to be by myself forever, and I would like to be married one day, and even, oh my gosh, even entertain having kids. I wouldn't have thought that I would be at my age and, single, and no children. I wouldn't say I desperately want to get married, but I definitely want to, and, but I'm not desperate enough to go out and just be with any Joe Schmo that, would just want to knock me up and do everything backwards. I see that a lot, and even some of my girlfriends who have also found themselves single are so determined that they also want to go out and just have kids and just create a synthetic family is not something I want to do. But, each year that passes, I'm like, oh, wow. So that was another caveat. But why I say that is, our society thinks of women being married as something that happens very early in our life, particularly in our 20s. A lot of times right out of college, if you go to college and you start your family early and things like that, that's just not reality, especially because of the world that we live in. It's a modern world, and that's the numbers, even if you look at it statistically, not just in the Western world, but it's worldwide. Like, it's just the world that we live in is different. You don't have to get married and have children so that you have farm hands to work the land. We don't live in those times anymore, so it is different. But that does not mean that just because you don't get married when you're young, that you're kicked out of the marriage pool altogether. I don't believe either. I do think that there are ideal times for you to get married, but I know some women who are dynamic women, and it's just not their time right now. That in the context, in that particular context, I think Devon Franklin is correct. If you have put in the work, if you are a qualified woman, you know how to raise children, you know how to run a family, you know how to manage your money, you know how to be humble and submissive, you know how to value and respect a man just past his money. You don't think that men are just Neanderthals and dumb and don't have a say in the way that you raise your children and all of those things. You don't use your body for monetary gain, and a lot of the issues that we see today. If you're not one of those women and you're putting in the work every day to be the kind of woman that a man that would marry you would be proud of, and you're not married, there is nothing wrong with you. But if you're the complete opposite, there is absolutely something wrong with you. You don't deserve marriage, because marriage isn't just something that you do when you get bored and you don't feel like working anymore. And this is coming from someone who is sick of working and doesn't want to work this hard the rest of her life. Just being honest. I don't want to work this hard for the rest of my life and do life alone, and come home to just more to do things and not have anybody to talk to, or celebrate different life achievements with. So I don't want to do that the rest of my life. But marriage is not the solution to that. So if you're looking at marriage as a ticket out of your current situation and to be a very self-serving solution, if you don't want to work anymore, if you don't want to be alone simply because you don't know yourself and you are trying to run away from your problems and pass it on somebody else, if you don't know how to love yourself and you're going to outsource that to somebody else, if you are putting yourself in a position to be married simply because you don't want to put in the work, you don't deserve marriage, and there is absolutely something wrong with you. So I'm sorry, Devon Franklin, but in that context, you're wrong. And I wish that he had explored both sides, because that is a conversation that needs to be had. It is not for everybody just because everybody has a potential for it, it doesn't mean that everyone can have it. And it doesn't mean that everybody qualifies. And it doesn't mean that everybody deserves it. That's just, oh, sorry, y'all. This road is so bumpy. It's just, those are just the facts. So, that's it. That's all I wanted to say. I had to get it off my chest, and I had to tell somebody because I wanted at least someone's ears to have better perspective on that. So anyway, I'm about to be at work, y'all. I hope y'all have an amazing day. It is a Friday, and I'm just feeling grateful, and I hope y'all are too. I hope y'all have an amazing day, and I will talk to y'all soon. Bye.